What happens to an empath after she heals herself from her childhood trauma and all the narcissistic relationships? She frees herself. Her nervous system calms down. She's no longer wired to chase chaos, fix people, or prove her worth through overgiving. What once felt normal, intensity, inconsistency, emotional highs and lows, now feels exhausting. Her boundaries become real, not just intentions. She stops saying yes out of guilt. She notices manipulation sooner. She leaves situations she would have endured before. Her identity reorganizes. If she spent years being the healer, she, this time, the understanding one, or the one who stays. She now has to figure out who she is without those roles. That in between stage can feel empty. So, why does loneliness show up? It's less about losing connection and more about outgrowing misaligned connections. People who benefited from her lack of boundaries may drift away. Conversations that once felt engaging now feel surface level or draining. She may no longer feel safe in environments built on dysfunction or chaos. So there is a period where she has less noise but not yet the right people. That gap feels like loneliness, but it's actually space. What that lonely phase really is, it's a recollaboration period. Learning to sit with herself without needing distraction, choosing connection over attachment, letting relationships be mutual instead of one sided, becoming selective, not isolated. This phase can feel quiet, even uncomfortable, but it's also where her standards rise. What comes after if she keeps going? If she doesn't backslide into old patterns just to avoid being alone, something important happens. She attracts people who meet her at a new level of awareness. She experiences calm connections instead of intense ones. She feels seen without having to over explain or overgive. It's slower, but it's real. The hard truth without sugarcoating. Healing will reduce the number of people in her life for a while. But it also removes relationships that were built on survival, not alignment. So, yes, she might feel lonely, but she's no longer abandoned by herself. And that's the turning point. I was not raised, I was trained. In one house, love arrived like weather, unpredictable, loud, impossible to prepare for. So I learned the science of footsteps, the grammar of doors, the meaning behind silence before it broke. I became fluent in danger without ever being taught the language. And in another house, love was steady enough to forget, soft enough to assume it would always stay. So I learned something else there too, that safety makes you forget you were ever unsafe. But I carry both systems in my bones. One half of me still scans rooms for exits, even when no one is chasing me. The other half sits in quiet spaces and calls it unfamiliar, not peace. They call it healing when the panic stops, but they don't tell you that your body will grieve the chaos it once called home. Because chaos had rules. Chaos was predictable. Chaos knew my name. Peace does not. So I sit between two worlds now, one that broke me into awareness, and one that asks me to forget why I needed to be aware. And the strangest part is this: when nothing is wrong anymore, a part of me still waits for it to begin. Trauma is stored in the nervous system, not just memory. When something overwhelming happens, especially in childhood, The brain doesn't always file it as a normal narrative memory. Instead, systems like amygdala, threat detection, stay highly sensitized, while the prefrontal cortex, the logic perspective regulation, can go partially offline during triggers. So later in life, you don't just remember the past, you re experience the body state of it. That's why healing often starts with the body, not just thoughts. Survival adaptations become personality. In childhood trauma, the brain builds strategies to stay safe, hyper vigilance, always scanning for danger, people pleasing, preventing conflict, emotional shutdown, numbing overwhelm, disassociation, mentally escaping. These aren't flaws, they're adaptive survival responses. The issue is they often remain active even when the danger is gone. Attachment patterns shape emotional reality. Early relationships teach the brain what love feels like. In attachment theory, developed by attachment theory, consistent caregiving builds secure attachment, while inconsistent or harmful caregiving can lead to anxious, avoidant, or disorganized patterns. This affects how safe closeness feels, what normal love is interpreted as, whether calm feels safe or suspicious. So healing often feels like relearning intimacy itself. The brain is changeable. This is the turning point. One of the most important principles in trauma recovery is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. Through repeated safe experiences, the brain learns not every silence is danger, not every conflict is abandonment, not every emotion is threat. Over time, the alarm system becomes less reactive. The body recalibrates before the mind believes it. Modern trauma psychology, including approaches like polyvagal informed therapy, emphasizes that regulation happens through the nervous system first. Safety is not just a thought, it is a psychological state. Slower heart rate, steadier breathing, less startle response, ability to stay present. Only after the body learns safety does the mind fully accept it. Why healing can feel like emptiness at first. This is a key psychological paradox. When chaos is familiar, it creates constant stimulation. When it appears, the nervous system can interpret calm as loss, not relief. So early healing often feels like boredom, emptiness, loneliness, something is missing. But psychologically, this is often just the system adjusting to non survival mode for the first time. Real healing is integration, not erasure. Healing trauma is not becoming a new person, it is keeping memory without being controlled by it, feeling emotion without being hijacked by it, having awareness without constant alarm. It's when the past becomes information, not instruction. Identity becomes stable without emotional chaos. The empath is no longer defined by being needed, being the healer, being emotionally available to everyone. Instead, identity becomes internally anchored. I exist even when I'm not fixing anything. The empath doesn't stop feeling deeply, they stop abandoning themselves in what they feel. This is often the quietest but most powerful shift. Instead of feeling everything intensely all the time, there is discernment. Who is safe to open to, what energy is worth engaging with, where emotional investments is mutual. This is the nervous system no longer equating absence with danger. She healed herself alone in the darkness, in the loneliness, in the alone a selfless love for herself only. when she let go of everything was holding her back.